Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Welcome to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder, and guess what? It is Victory Monday, baby.
Victory!
And Broder, you know what that means?
Booner, show 'em.
I've got some Detroit Lions new Victory Monday glasses for the people. Welcome to the show, Victory Monday. We had a loser week all last week. My name is Booner. We've got Broder as always. Jalen in the TD booth, and we've got Nick in the sound booth.
Let's go!
Camera too.
Let's go! We got the full shot.
We've got
everyone
right here. I love that. The new shot here. We haven't had that, I don't think, since Woodward Nights has started. Beautiful backdrop here. We've got this all for Victory Monday, baby. Kool-Aid is here. We're here, baby. Broder, how are you feeling? You were at the game yesterday.
Dude, I'm
in
feeling
the building.
So good. I'm so ready to talk about this game. We've been hearing all the shows on Woodward Sports, all the shows around the city, around Michigan. They've been talking Lions all day. I think we're gonna give them a little interesting look at this game. I'm excited, man. I can't wait.
I think one up that we have is one. We've got myself, Booner.
Dude. And you don't lose.
And two, and I don't lose. And two, we've got the Detroit Lions beat reporter for the network on this show to talk everything that went on yesterday. I was here in the stream. You were at the field. You got to talk to players. You got to talk to the coaches after. You got to see it all firsthand.
Yes.
And if you guys wanted the inside scoop, we are going to bring it to you all show today. We have everything. Broder's going to bring it to. He's going to bring you everything. Real quick though, boys. This game is about to start. I believe it's
this Monday Night Football game.
Monday Night Football game. We want to make sure if you guys are watching it, we don't want you to leave. We want you to stay. So we're gonna give our picks for you guys, and you guys. We want your guys' picks as well, real quick, before we get into some Lions talk. So we're able to all follow together. So you guys can stay and watch with us. Broder, we'll start with you.
You're
Rams,
coming to me fast.
Bengals. Bengals are a 3-point favorite at home. Who do you like?
I like the Rams. I'm just gonna come right on and say it. Joe Burrow's not playing. He might go on the injured reserve.
I think he's playing.
He is playing.
Joe Burrow's
in. He's playing.
Joe Burrow's in, baby.
Wasn't he talking about going on the injured reserve?
And I don't think so. Maybe. He's back, though.
Joe Burrow is good. I'm going to go with the Rams still. Let's go. Matty Stafford, Puka, the Rams. Kyron Williams, they're going to Cincinnati, and they're going to win this in the Natty. Little Skyline Chili.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Bengals. There's no reason they're a 3-point favorite for, Vegas wants everyone to take the Rams. That's why they're 3 points. So it's Bengals today at home.
Okay.
Let me talk to you.
Other boys?
Going with the Bengals. Joe Burrow and the Bengals at home. They can't go to 0-3 here. They need the win, and they cover the field goal, no doubt. Bengals.
Jalen?
I just want a good game, I don't really care who wins. But if I had to pick somebody, I'm going to go with Joey B, man, and the Bengals. They need a win. If they don't win, it's going to be, some major issues out there in Cincy, my brother. So we're going to see.
All right.
Oh, I got to write that down that all three of you picked the Bengals and I picked the Rams. Can't wait to win this one. Let's go.
You still owe me a pizza for our pizza bet last week. But already talked about that. First thing before, because real quick, we're going to get into the injury situation here with the Detroit Lions, because today there wasn't a lot of announcements with it. But we're going to have a segment on the show today that talks about the state of the Detroit Lions. And with the state of the Detroit Lions, I know everyone probably that's watching us now, and people, if you're tuning in as we keep going here. Last week, the overreactions after the loss to the Seattle Seahawks on Monday. Overreaction Monday. It was a real thing in Detroit, and it was a real thing for Detroit Lions fan. It's a real thing for national media towards the Detroit Lions. And what did we do, Broder?
What did we do?
I sat up here 7 days ago, and I told the people, calm down. Sit back in your rocker. Sit down. SOL fans, relax. We're going to be just fine. The Detroit Lions will be just fine. It's one loss in the National Football League. It's the hardest league to win in any sport. The National Football League is. So we're gonna talk about that today, everyone. Everyone that's watching, we're gonna talk about the state of the Detroit Lions, because don't I didn't forget 7 days ago when I sat up here and I told people it was going to be okay, and everyone said that the Detroit Lions, we had someone call in and say that there's no way they win the North, that it's same old Lions. This is the same thing that happens year after year after year. And he said, no, they're going to lose next week. They're not going to do anything. The season's over. They called into the show and said that. Tried to fool us. No.
Booner says no.
Things are different around here. We're here, baby. We're going to talk about that later in the show, though. But, Broder, let's get into the injury report. I'll let you take this one because I don't know if you were in Allen Park today.
But I got all the deets.
But there was a lot going on. There is some interesting stuff with the injury report today.
There was. We had some of the players who were out this weekend and actually expected to be out on Thursday. Looks like they're going to try to give it a go. And the most notable name is Taylor Decker. He was the left tackle for the Lions that he hurt his ankle in that very first game. Really, actually, early in the game when Jared Goff fell on his ankle, played the rest of the Chiefs game but had to sit out Seattle. We were thinking that they might hold him out through the Packers game to give him that extra 10 days after. He's going to try to suit up. He said it's going to effing hurt, but he's going to give it a go on Thursday. Again, he did mention that the final decision is on the coaches and the training staff, but if we're up to him today, he's planning on playing Thursday. There are other injuries, but that's a big one. You got any comments on Taylor Decker returning?
I think it's huge, especially it was really weird at the end of this game where, Matt Nelson went down.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's his name came
Skipper.
in? Skipper came in. He ended up, I think, pulling the hammy or something. And then, you have Colby that comes in, Colby Swarsdale. So it was like such a weird situation. You were like backups to backups to backups. I think we all could agree that we planned on Taylor Decker to be back Thursday through this injury.
Yeah.
I feel like that he probably could have gone Sunday, but they're like, hey, let's give you some time.
Those Packers game mean a lot to Taylor Decker.
Yes.
But yeah, Matt Nelson, who you mentioned, he was a starting right tackle, filling in for Penei Sewell, who was filling in for Taylor Decker on the left side. He had a pretty bad injury early in that game too, and at the field, the cart came out really fast. We didn't really know what happened. In fact, I thought it was Sam Laporta right off the bat because it was 67. I thought it was 87, but he's actually going to have surgery, so he's going to be out for an extended amount of time. Matt Nelson didn't practice today, hurt his ankle, will be having surgery and out for a couple weeks. Also not practicing today, Frank Ragnow. He took a rest day.
That's fine. Usually his rest day is Wednesday.
Yeah, but they got to change the schedule
around. Seems like they moved it up 2 days because of that, which is fair.
Yes, and then Halapulavati Vaitai also did not practice today. My guess is he doesn't play Thursday. There's not a lot of there's not more information about him, but it's not looking
outside of
good.
Frank. Yeah, I mean with Frank Ragnow, he will obviously play, but I was expecting whoever was no practice today to not go Thursday from Dan Campbell's comments last week.
That would be my expectation. But the good news, Emmanuel Mosley was out there practicing at a limited.
Man.
He was limited in practice. David Montgomery, Kirby Joseph, and Jonah Jackson too. Jonah Jackson was the one that surprised me. I didn't realize he was hurt, but he's nursing a thigh injury. We don't know how serious it is, but he was out there practicing in a limited capacity, along with Taylor Decker and Jason Kapinda. But the big news is Taylor Decker might be playing. Kirby Joseph, Montgomery, and Mosley might be playing. It'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see Emmanuel Mosley out there.
Yes.
This is the game. This is the fourth game of the season. If he doesn't play, it's all.
Should have gone on IR.
Yeah, you can't predict a hiccup in the middle of his recovery process, but there's a roster spot that could have gone to someone else. We look at some of the players we lost, like a Starling Thomas, some of the players we cut and were picked up by other teams. So we'll see, but I would love to see him out there regardless. So Emmanuel Mosley, Montgomery, Kirby, Jonah Jackson, Taylor Decker, Jason Kabinda, all limited out. Matt Nelson, Frank Ragnow, and Halapulavati Vaitai.
The biggest one to me, like you said, Jonah Jackson being light practice, that was kind of odd out of nowhere. I felt like no one mentioned that yesterday during the game, or even if that happened before. The best part of all of this, though, is these three guys I'm looking at. I'm on the Lions website right now. I'm looking at the bottom of the injury report. Kirby Joseph, light practice. To me, probably plays. Great news, right?
He wants to play. He wants to play against Green Bay.
David Montgomery, who we thought could have been almost on IR and been a couple weeks, he's already limited practice. He's already taken that step forward. So that's great. The biggest one, Emmanuel Mosley, baby.
Ooh.
Let's go, Emmanuel Mosley.
Let's go.
Get back, baby. We need Emmanuel Mosley back, man. That'd be awesome. Jerry Jacobs did step back up. I know last week that was someone that we kind of challenged, and we were like, hey, like you were rough that Seahawks week. I think a lot of people challenged him, and he had a better game.
He did have a better game.
But to take that next step on that defense, Emmanuel Mosley to be able to make that's going to be huge. That is going to be huge if he is able to play. If you get those guys back, Taylor Decker, Kirby Joseph, David Montgomery, Emmanuel Mosley, if you get all those guys back who didn't play Sunday, you dominated Sunday. We'll talk about it later and tomorrow and Wednesday, but I feel like this Packers team's on a pretty similar level as this Falcons team, if not a little less. So you should be able to dominate Thursday on the road if you get all of your guys back.
Yeah, and I don't want to give away too much because we're going to be talking about the players who stepped up later in the game, but there were players that stepped up in place of these injured players and truly contributed to the success of the Lions yesterday. But first, Booner, can you tell them about, I think it's Woodward and Maine?
Yes, I'm going to take the glasses off for this. Ooh, it's bright in here. Wow, those lights are bright. All right, Woodward and Maine show, the Woodward Sports Lions Insider Show, hosted by the Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Detroit legend Terry Foster. Look at him back there. Just looking over his two kids there in that picture there. But,
Uncle T.
Yeah, Tuesdays, 7 to 8 a.m., which I believe will be tomorrow. Correct, Broder?
Tuesdays, we're live tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
7 to 8 a.m. and
I'm going to
Sundays,
sleep in the studio, sorry.
8 to 9 a.m. Make sure you guys tune in for all the Detroit Lions insider information that you need. Any updates on injuries, anything that our beat reporters will have, they will talk about it on that show Tuesdays and Sundays in the morning, 7 to 8 a.m. and 8 to 9 a.m. on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Guys, I have to call out Lions fans. That crowd at Ford Field again. It was not something I expected.
It was good?
It was incredible. It didn't reach the highest peak volume. I think it hit 120 decibels on what was it, last Sunday against the Seahawks, but with the deflating feeling that it sort of felt like all week after that Seattle game when everyone was so jacked up. They showed up to Ford Field. It was loud. It got up to like 117 decibels on that first drive. Actually, it was on the second drive. After the Lions had a 3-and-out, they then kicked it to the Seahawks. The first two plays hit 117. It was incredible.
Huge.
It was incredible.
That was something I was a little worried about. I wasn't sure what it was going to be like after like such a deflating loss. Please, I hope people start to keep coming back, and that's that whole new regime. That's the whole new brand new Lions thing. Is the fans? Everyone is bought in, whether it's a tough loss, whatever it is. The games are all still sold out. Season tickets are sold out still. People are going to pack that place, and it's going to be one of the fact that that's going to be one of the toughest places to play all year, because you just saw it. The Falcons are probably one of the worst teams you're going to play at home, and it was packed coming off of one of the hurtful losses that we've had here at Ford Field. So I don't know if you saw this, Broder, or if anyone in the chat. I was going through YouTube today, and in my algorithm, it popped up the Atlanta Falcons post-game interviews in the locker room. And I can't remember which offensive lineman said it, but he was like, that was one of the toughest places I've ever played.
Wow.
And one of the best environments I've ever been in. Because they asked him, how did Desmond Ridder handle it? And he goes, Desmond Ridder, I felt like handled it really well, because that was one of the best environments that we've ever, in my career, I've ever played in. And in one of the toughest places. So shout out to One Pride Nation. Shout out to all of the fans for showing up. That offensive line felt it. That's part of the reason and he talked about it in his interview. He was like, when you can't hear Desmond Ridder calling out audibles for protections, anything like that. That's part of as well that leads to some sacks, 7 sacks. That's part of it. Is if those offensive linemen can't hear their quarterback changing things up.
You could see him all throughout that game. He's going from side to side of that offensive line, telling each player individually what the play is because they couldn't hear him make that change. It was incredible, and especially after the Lions players, they called for this. They apologized. They said, we owe you one. The fans had their backs and showed up and really showed out, proving that Ford Field is currently and continuing to be one of the biggest home field advantages in the entire NFL.
It is. And we're going to get into that. We're going to kind of break down the game in this next segment. I'll kind of break it down here for you guys. So if you guys are just tuning in, appreciate it. We're going to go through 8:15, recap the game at 8:30. We're going to talk about this defense. I think I saw just Steve Lehman put in there. He might have said I didn't read the parts of it. I think he said they might be the ranked 17th defense now. So we're going to talk about the defense and the different injuries and the players that stepped up. 8:45, we're going to talk about this defensive line because first of all, Jeff Iafredi called me out on the morning show. Some issues. We did talk about it throughout the day, but definitely we'll talk about that a little bit. 9 o'clock, we're going to talk about Brad Holmes and these rookies. 9:15, the state of the Detroit Lions. We're gonna open the phone lines up for that, so make sure you guys want to tune in for that. 9:30 overreaction Monday around the NFL. 9:40 we're gonna talk a little bit about this Green Bay Packers team that's about to take a huge L at Lambeau Field, and we'll finish it off with some mailbag today. So before we do all of that, Nick, if you want to tell the people about the Academy of Warren.
At Academy of Warren, they have a brand new state-of-the-art Sports Dome field house that has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, and soccer field. Also can be used for 7-on-7 football. K through 8 that features AM and PM latchkey, small classroom sizes, learning street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, and K through 8 athletics. The Academy of Warren is now accepting new enrollment. Go to theacademyofwarren.net.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
You're a good coach, Tim. Oh, great shot.
Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, shit. Go in.
Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Company, the official equipment provider of Woodward Sports, baby. Michigan-grown, family-owned, bad boy mowers, tractors, style handhelds, and even weed whippers, Liberty trailers and generic generators, snow X-plows, and salters. Everything you need, Outdoor Equipment Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing, and delivery right to your doorstep. Maybe I'll deliver something for you. Who knows? OutdoorEquipment.com. Again, that is OutdoorEquipco.com. All right, welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner, joined as always with Matthew Broder, Detroit Lions beat reporter, sitting right next to me. This new angle is really getting me here. We've got to get used to that a little bit, looking at this camera. We've got Jalen in the TD booth and Nick in the sound booth as always.
Let's go. 2-1,
Can,
baby.
real quick, if you guys are tuning in, please make sure you guys hit that like button for us, and make sure you tell a friend about the show. Hit that subscribe button. We're over 50,000 subscribers, boys.
Let's go, 50K.
Let's go. Finally hit it. Friday, we were hoping to hit it on the show, and it just did not happen, but we got over. We're at like 50.5 now.
I think we were the last show before they hit 50K. Like, it didn't happen during the morning. We're good.
Pretty sure it might have happened Saturday.
We'll take credit. Yeah, Saturday morning.
Yeah. So our show was the last one that was in the algorithm.
So basically, we'll take credit for it. Thank you. That's you guys in the chat.
But,
Cash. Wait.
Wait, is Cash here?
No. But Tyler says Cash was the 50K. The 50th.
I bet he was, man.
50,000th.
Cash did have the score prediction 28-3, and at one point in the game, I was just telling Broder this. I was sitting on the stream, and it was 20-3, and I looked at Lucas, and I was like, I hope the Detroit Lions score a touchdown and go for 2 here, and the game's 28-3. I was praying for it. That was one of the best moments of my life. But fellas, we're gonna get into it here. We're gonna kind of talk a little bit about here and break this game down. The Detroit Lions beat the Atlanta Falcons 20-3, and we're gonna kind of recap it a little bit. Pretty dominant victory, in my opinion. They moved to 2-1. Broder, I'll start with you. I want to kind of hear what your thoughts are on it, because being in the building, you probably get a little different view on it, and the feel for the game, the feel for the players. What was that like at Ford Field?
I loved this game, and I loved this type of victory. It was kind of like taken from the same page as the Kansas City game. It was gritty. It was mature. It was the coaches made adjustments all throughout the game. They had a really clear game plan going into the game, and they executed. And you could see them put their players in much better situations. And one of the questions I'm going to pose later is, did those injuries to some of the starters, force the coaches to almost take a step back and not just let the players go out there and play and run around free, actually have a more structured approach to the game, which it seemed like, especially when we talk about the sacks and the defensive line, there were players helping. There were players doing their job that left the other players on the line open, or give them the free gaps, give them the one-on-one coverage to then go in and get rid, or to go in and make a play. It was one of those games. It's difficult to say because we know what the Falcons, their game plan going in was they're going to ground and pound. We're going to run the ball. And the fact that the Lions were able to get 7 sacks out of that, out of a mobile quarterback also in the backfield, it was really great to see. And I guess just to wrap things up, it was that the adjustments from last week, Aaron Glenn and that defensive staff definitely made them.
Shout out to him, too, for kind of stepping up, because we saw it last year when they were 1-6. And we talked about this a little last week, to where I felt like, at least last year at that 1-6, everyone was calling for Aaron Glenn. Everyone was going after Dan Campbell. And it was like, all right, it's time to make that change, or kind of figure something out to make a turn. And I said it last week. It felt like that week 2 loss, which is, it's better. Instead of week 7, week 8, to have this in week 2, that week 2 loss felt like that was kind of the turning tables to where those guys needed to step up. And I want to go back to real quick. I talked about it before, that the Atlanta Falcons, I looked at their post-game interviews in their locker room, and it's something that Drake London said. I don't have the exact quote. I should have gotten the exact quote, but he said something along the lines where, to paraphrase it, he said something along the lines to where it was nothing really that the Detroit Lions did to win the game, but it was more so on us, and it was stuff that we could change, or it was kind of our fault that we lost. and when he said it, and I'm paraphrasing, he might not have said something the Detroit Lions, but he was basically, it was like, this is on us. Like, we should have, like, it was things we could have controlled. To me, that defense, the way Aaron Glenn had these guys prepared, not even just that he had them prepared, the way some of these guys took it personal, like Aleem McNeil, Benito Jones, Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, some of these guys took that so personal, that loss last week. Jerry Jacobs, they stepped up in a huge way.
Yes.
They had 7 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss, 7 pass deflections, and 8 quarterback hits.
Damn.
Think about that. Like, just think about these 3 stats. 8 quarterback hits, 7 sacks, and 11 tackles for a loss. And I'm pretty sure those aren't combined either. Those are all separate. And if I'm wrong, someone in the chat put it. But when I saw that, I was like, there is no, like, that is domination at its most right there.
And especially with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier as their primary runners out of the backfield, to get that many tackles behind the line of scrimmage is incredible. And you look, Atlanta on offense, they had 65 snaps to the Lions 64 snaps.
Yeah.
They had 183 total yards to the Lions 358. The Lions controlled that game, especially on offense from the start.
Just really, like, it's so crazy to think about that all week. The only thing we weren't worried about Desmond Ridder. We really weren't worried about that defense. We had confidence in our offense. The only thing that the Detroit Lions and us sitting up here on the desk, everyone in the comment section, every single Detroit Lions fans talked about was, how can we stop this Atlanta Falcons run game with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier? That was the main focus. They had 40 yards rushing. And then they had those stats that I named off. 11
tackles for loss,
7 sacks, and quarterback pressures, whatever it was, 9 or whatever here. 8 quarterback hits. Like, that was the emphasis, and that was the biggest thing. That's what gives me confidence with this kind of team from this game, was what you have to do game plan wise, and they went out and executed it, and at the same time, they have the depth and the roster to go and win at any game, any week, anywhere.
The run defense that they showed in the first 2 games, which Seattle's got a great running back group, and Kansas City's all right, but they were. Their one bright spot, or I should say their biggest bright spot on defense in those first 2 games was their run defense. The Lions weren't getting to the quarterback. They weren't getting sacks. There were receivers open. There were penalties, but they were stopping the run in those first 2 games, and they definitely got their toughest test with Bijan and Algier. and they made the most of it. And that's not to say that they played a perfect game, and that's partly what excites me too. They made some mistakes. They had 10 penalties, I believe, for 115 or 119 yards. Jerry Jacobs didn't have his best game, but he did get better. He had two big penalties. There's a lot of things that can be cleaned up, but when you're looking at the biggest issue they had last week on the defensive end, they completely turned that around, and that's why I give a lot of credit to Aaron Glenn, who really answered the questions that a lot of people had in the offseason.
Yeah, and can I flip sides of the ball? Can we flip sides of the ball here?
Flip it.
Offensively, first of all, there's four things I put down here. First one is going into the game. I was a little. We all were when we saw Amon-Ra St. Brown questionable. All like a little nervous. Like, oh no, like no one knew that. Like we didn't know what was going to happen. I even thought going into the game he was going to be a little hurt. That man came out with nine catches and over 100 yards. Quiet catches and 100 yards.
Quiet.
If we all had these conversations this year, that is he a top 10 receiver in the NFL? The fact that he can go out and get 9 catches for 100 yards and no one's gonna like freak out about it. That man is great.
With the steel in his toe.
That man is great. He deserves all the flowers. But one thing that stood out to me offensively too is Jared Goff. He only completed passes to 4 different targets, that's not like this Detroit Lions offense a little bit.
Normally he spreads it around a ton, but he didn't even have 1 target to Josh Reynolds or Marvin Jones.
Did Josh? I did not see. I guess we can check PFF. Did Josh Reynolds? I guess
0 targets.
Did he have how many snaps?
He was out there for like 59 snaps. He was out there almost every play, but he didn't get targeted.
That's weird.
Marvin Jones had, I think, around 30 snaps. He wasn't targeted. So you're right.
I want Marvin to get back into. I want them to start finding him more.
I think they will.
Because he's a guy that has an upside, even though he's older.
I think he's just going to be one of those guys when they need him in certain games, he's going to come up and he's going to have 4 or 5 catches for 65, 75 yards and a touchdown when they need it.
It wasn't like he was a scrub at all last year in Jacksonville. Like
no.
he that was a playoff team there, and he contributed. So if you get him going and find some way to kind of get him involved, that's just another target to where when you get J-Mo back, you're just adding that onto it. Like
100%. I think he's going to be fine. But you're right. It was a little odd. Their offense was moving like it normally does, but you're right. They only targeted 4. It was 4 different players, and 2 of which were receivers. So it was Amon-Ra, Khalif, Sam Laporta, and who was the other one? Gibbs? There was a 4th.
Gibbs, I think, had 1 catch.
Had 1 catch.
I think that it was Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta.
Oh, yeah. And then Jameer had 1 catch. So, really, it was 3 guys.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra had 9, Laporta had 8, and then Khalif had 4. So
I was, too, a little bit worried with this offense. I'm not going to lie. And I feel like a lot of people had the same thing, is that they felt like it stalled out a couple times when you felt like they could have dominated. But then when Jared Goff talked at the end in his press conference, he did mention, like, we had so much control of the game. Like, it was only a 10-point game, and they just kept stalling out. He was like, we had so much control of the game, we were just trying to get time off the clock. Like, we knew we were going to win the game. We were just trying to, run the offense through that instead of trying to just continue to take deep shots, which I would like for them. Like, you would like a team to kind of take that, like an Eagles, or where you just have that killer instinct, like the Dolphins did this week.
True. But the fact that they could do that, and Jared Goff was open about being able to do that without David Montgomery, without your ground and pound running back, is huge. And that's the value of having a guy
out with the dub.
Yeah, having a guy like Jared Goff who's elite at the short and intermediate routes. I'm not saying he's an upper echelon quarterback, but he's moving his way up there. But I'll say he is an elite quarterback when it comes to those short and intermediate routes. He's accurate. He puts the ball in a place where his running backs or receivers or tight ends can catch it in space and make a move after that. So it was really cool to hear him say that. We obviously want the ball to be spread around more. We want them to have that killer instinct. But when it comes time when the weather gets bad later in the season and they need to eat up that clock, they can do that. And they're gonna have David Montgomery. It's inspiring. It's really great to see that they have that in their arsenal.
Yeah, and before we do go to break too, Jalen, I did throw that the Dan Campbell post game thing in there. These videos pump me up just by the fact that the culture when you get done with these games. Like, do you remember the one in Green Bay last year after where he said, hey, everything runs through Detroit?
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, like, this is the head coach that you want in your locker room, the leadership, man. Like, that's what gives me the confidence in this. When we talk this SOL stuff and we have these conversations up here the last week, these Dan Campbell videos right here are the ones that get me pumped up after the games.
Man, you guys, you responded. Everybody. I'm proud of everybody in this room. You guys on the staff, I appreciate you, man. I really do. Seriously. Defense, we talked about our identity. We talked about it as a team. The defense, that's it. That's it. You know what this film's going to say? Because I can see it on the sideline. We look hungry. We looked hungry. We played hungry. We played violent. Defense, you just kept giving us the ball back. Kept giving us the ball back, right? Offense, just patience. Rush for over 100, by the way. And then when we needed it, bam, we hit. And it was just a matter of time before that big old boulder just cracked. And that was because of you guys. That's an outstanding job. It's an outstanding job. I'm proud of you. All right? That's the way to bounce back. Right? And that's what we got to do. Guess what? We're going to Green Bay on the road. It's going to be freaking great, guys. We know that place well, don't we? We know it well. That's an outstanding win. We're back to 2-1. We need to get to 3-1. All right? Awesome. Break it down.
Hey, bring it up, fellas. That's a great win today. Great win today. That's just a start for us, though. We got to keep building. But you know what time it is? We starting up in the division. Let's go. We in the division this week, and we got to set the tone. Set the tone. What better way to go in somebody else's backyard and set the tone? Take care of your bodies. Come in tomorrow. Let's ready to work. Let's get family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
That right there pumps me. Hey, first of all, Dan Campbell, we're at 2-1. We need to get to 3-1. That's the first point. And 2, Cam Sutton, it's time for the division. It's time to lock in. These are the games that are going to matter when it comes down to winning the division and getting the top 4 seed. So I wanted to throw that video up there. I just wanted to show the people what's going on in Detroit right now, because the people in the locker room, as much as everyone was worried last year after that loss, these guys in the locker room, they don't really care. They're dialed in.
I've got some words about Dan Campbell and Cam Sutton a little later in the show.
I'm ready for it.
I hadn't actually seen that clip, so that was epic.
You're welcome.
Do you need to hear about Mark White Real Estate?
I do.
Before we come back and talk about that defense in a little more detail, Mark White Real Estate, it's where or when buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. So sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That's exactly what Mark White and Associates offers with their minute-by-minute listing agreement. So if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, visit markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. markwhitesells.com, where flexibility meets success.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Just in time for football, Glorious Cannabis is dropping a new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good, it's like the whiff of the first playoff win in 31 years. It's a gassy, aggressive strain named in the honor of Detroit football. If you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, you are missing out. So smooth. Find them at Dispo Dispensary for 25% off. Use code word Woodward Glorious. Find them at www.gloriouscanna.com.
Welcome back to Woodward Night. Look at the Glorious Cannabis. Shout out, Nick. Welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner. As always, do not lose. We won a lot this weekend if you trailed or followed those. But I'm here with Broder, as always, Detroit Lions beat reporter. Little fist bump across here. Jalen in the TD booth and Nick in the sound booth as always.
Are we awkward, Booner?
No, not at all. Definitely not. Here, if we could do that, we would through here. Right over the planet.
I'm making this awkward.
No, he definitely is. He's definitely trying to make this awkward. But, Broder, we're going to talk a little defense here. We already mentioned some stuff, Aaron Glenn, and kind of how some of these players were injured, and players stepped up. Big time.
Big time.
Some big-time players stepped up here. I'm going to start us off here because I put a couple questions down in the prep today. Confidence level on this defense. Who made the biggest impacts on the defensive side of the ball here? I'm going to throw my glasses on for this one, boys.
I know where you're going to go.
Because there's one guy. Yeah. There might have been one rookie in the NFL yesterday who was the best player on the football field. I'm not just saying on their side of the ball when they were on the field. No, I'm saying throughout the whole game. In Ford Field, at that stadium, there was one player who stood out and was the best football player in the game that day, and that was your second-round pick, safety Brian Branch. That man, Matthew Broder, is an absolute dog. A dog. He led your whole team in tackles with 11 tackles, all solo tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 pass deflections, and he took Bijan's head off one time and took his helmet straight off of him. And you know what he said after? I don't effing care. I was going for that. He wants to make a stamp. This is his 3rd game in the NFL ever. We got him in the 2nd round. He's potentially could be one of the best defender on this Lions defense in year 1.
That's a rookie.
He's going to be right there it's going to be Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson. And if we're really talking this too as well, Jalen, I don't know if you have I might have put the graphic in there, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he's starting to creep up a little bit. He was behind Jack Campbell at one point, jumped Jack Campbell, jumped Devon Witherspoon. He's sitting up there at 16-1, right behind only 3 players, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and Christian Gonzalez. I don't know what else needs to be said, but that man, we had to talk about this today. He was the best player on that football field, whether it's the Falcons, Seahawks. He should get Defensive Player of the Week in the NFL.
He should, just across the board.
Defensive Rookie of the Week, everything.
I mean, he was without a doubt the number 1 difference maker on the field for the Lions Sunday. Am I right?
I love the man. I love him. I kept saying on stream, it was literally every single time that you would look up and like the Detroit, it wasn't even that he just had 11 tackles. And I'm sure everyone will agree with me on this. It was every time the Detroit Lions needed a 3rd down stop, every time they needed a play in the backfield, anytime they needed a pass breakup, anything that the Detroit Lions on defense needed someone to step up. Someone was, we couldn't even tell what the number was on the TV and the live stream. Someone would make the play, and we would all look at each other like, who was it? Brian Branch would come up. He would just pop his head up, and you'd just see 32. Brian Branch. Every time.
Jeff Brewster loves Brian Branch because he just hit us with 50.
Jeff Brewster!
Shout out.
Oh, man.
I hope you hit some bets this weekend, Jeff. Let's go.
Dude, Jeff, thank you so much. Jeff's the stud from, it was 2 Fridays ago.
Yeah.
He went ham in the chat. Jeff, we appreciate you so much.
It's
Jeff
Victory
Brewster.
Monday, Jeff.
Victory.
We appreciate you tuning in again.
But, dude, Brian Branch, out of the University of Alabama, did Nick Saban not prepare him for the NFL? Does he not look already like a seasoned veteran?
He does. Not even just a seasoned veteran. The crazy part to me is he fell in the NFL draft because of his combine scores. He was literally, obviously, the best safety in the class, and he fell to the 2nd round.
And you know who traded with the Lions? The Packers.
And we're going to be there Thursday.
Let him cook.
Do you think he's excited to have that? Like, Brian Branch isn't a guy that needs to look for chips on his shoulders. He's got enough with being the only one left in the draft to walk across the stage in the 2nd round. But, dude, he's going to the Packers. They passed up on him along with 31 other teams in the NFL. Steve Lehman, by the way, real quick. Steve Lehman, thank you. $20, baby. That's real talk.
Steve did follow me on Instagram the other day and shot me a message. Shout out Steve, because I was at Apple Orchard.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday.
Did you run into him?
No, but I put it up on my story and he said something about it. Like, he was like, how are you not watching Michigan State in Maryland right now? Well, I was like, I missed that one.
No, dude, we appreciate whether it's 99 cents, $1.99, $20, or $50. We appreciate all of you guys. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for just communicating, commenting, giving us your takes.
Hit that like button.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Is this a good time to take a quick break and tell them about the post game, and then we'll get right back to this?
Let me tell you guys about the Detroit Lions or Woodward Sports post game show here with Tom Mazaway, who will be hosting every single week after the Detroit Lions games. Lions post game show. Tune in on Woodward Sports YouTube channel for the hot off the press takes, Kool-Aid sipping celebrations, and you will not want to miss out on this. It is usually Maz and Stick, special guests every single week following every Lions game exclusively on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Booner, how much do you think that the play of Brian Branch and really the guys in the secondary that stepped up factored into how dominant that defensive line was? And we're talking not just Aiden Hutchinson, who had himself a stat line, but we're talking Benito Jones, who had the first sack. Even Charles Harris, he was one guy I was so impressed with, just showing up on this Sunday. We finally get to see him, not just in the stat sheet, but actually making an impact on the game.
Hey,
there were guys all over the place.
Shout out Mike Hilton donating $1, man. Mike Hilton, baby.
Let's go!
Let's go, Mike.
We appreciate you, Mike, Steve, and Jeff. You're the best.
With that, though, and I think it was kind of more by like that whole, and you could say, Brian Branch brought a ton of energy, and kind of C.J. Gardner-Johnson goes down, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did we talk about all last week? Someone needs to take that spot. We said, all right, Kirby's probably going to take that vocal leadership spot, all of that. Kirby goes down. All right, who's it going to be? Iffy. Shout out Iffy. Iffy made some plays. We're going to talk about
next segment.
We're going to talk about some more defense and different guys who made impacts like that. But different guys stepped up. I think with Brian Branch, I think it's weird. We talk about running back by committee. I think the defense, like the energy and the kind of the hype and everything that was built up, it was just all by committee. The defensive line started with it, and I think Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell, early in the week of the prep work here for this game, they all went into that room right away after the loss and said, it's either today or it's in 10 weeks. We're going to flip this switch here, and you guys are either going to bring the energy or you're not. And I think all of these guys took it personal. I think Brian Branch stepped up, did it. The front line, Aleem McNeil, Charles Harris, all of these dudes kind of took that and ran with it. And it felt like it was just more of a team effort of every single guy said, hey, we need to have that energy with CJ missing here. We all need to do it all in one. And I think Brian Branch, you could tell, he was flying around the field.
Flying.
And I think that just everyone feels that, and everyone feels the front seven getting sacks, and they all just play off of each other there.
And even this is going off the rip, but I remember it was either the first or the second game. Oh, shout out Uncle Neil Soft Feet for that $1.99 donation. Thank you so much. Either the first or the second play of the game, Alex Anzalone made a big tackle. It was right near the Lions sideline. It might have been on Desmond Ritter. He actually might have had 2 tackles on that drive. But when he got up and he pumped his chest.
First possession, that was the third down stop.
Yeah, Alex Anzalone, I believe if there's anywhere I can give him his flowers, it's setting the tone early.
He does.
We didn't hear his name a ton like we heard Brian Branch and a lot of the defensive linemen. Even some of the other linebackers, Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes, each had a sack. Yep. Derek Barnes played phenomenally, by the way. But Alex Anzalone setting that tone from the start. He's the captain of that defense. Especially with C.J. Gardner-Johnson out and some of those vocal leaders out, Alex Anzalone is that stable force in the middle, wearing that green dot and controlling the defense. So I think this is a perfect place to give him a couple flowers.
Yeah, and it was a conversation I had with Lucas about Alex Anzalone, and he said the only reason he kind of dislikes, or sometimes he's like, I don't know about him, is because he misses some tackles. But there's that side to where, hey, if he's on his game, he's making tackles, which the last 2 games, in my opinion, he stepped up and made big plays. That sack on Geno Smith that puts you in a position to go to overtime, Alex Anzalone. Huge. There was multiple times on third down he stepped up and made the play. So he did it this last week, and he does it in big ways, and he does it with the energy and that leadership.
Yes.
That is the biggest part of this, is you need to see that leadership. You need to have some guys on this defense that have that. That when you're going to try and compete for a NFC North, you're trying to compete for an NFC. 49ers, they have that. These teams have that. You need some guys to step up. And I think, to be honest, after Sunday, Alex Anzalone, Aiden Hutchinson, Brian Branch. Hopefully when Kirby comes back, he's one of those guys. Cam Sutton doesn't say a lot, but he's pretty. We saw him in that post game. He's respected around that team in that locker room.
What many people don't understand, and I was thinking about this a lot around cut time right before the season started, is to build a good team. You're not you're not assembling the 53 most talented players that you can find. You have to build a team with leadership. You have to build a team with players with those intangibles like leadership, like certain things off the field. Whatever the case may be, it's not always the 53 most fast, strong, talented players. You have to build them with pieces and pieces that the coaches can trust in big situations.
Weezy in the Woodward Sports
Steve
chat
Wilds.
here. If Anzalone is balling, we always win. It seems, and it does. There's guys like that on every team to where, hey, if they come to play, they change this defense like that, and they make a legit impact to help you win that game. And he doesn't have that many bad games. Like last year, he had a solid year. He does that again, man. Like, and there's a few guys on defense like that. Like, hey, if you show up. Tyler in the chat as well here. Shout out Tyler. He tunes in every single day. He said Brian Branch is respected in Canada. He's an exemplary leader. Sorry, guys. I'm not great with reading words.
I like words. Also, shout out.
I can't read them.
Shout out Steve Wilds for the 99-cent donation and Phil for the 99-cent donation. We really, really appreciate you guys. And last thing before Booner, you tell them about Guardian Alarm.
Yep.
Alex Anzalone, I'm looking at this recap sheet, registered 5 or more tackles for the 20th straight game, tied for the longest streak in team history since 2000.
Solid, consistent leader. Solid, consistent leader. That's what you need in the middle of your defense there. So people who are mad that he's still out there over certain guys, solid, consistent leader, man. That linebacking core. But if you need someone like Anzalone to keep people out and to keep quarterbacks out of Ford Field, Guardian Alarm is the place to go. Customized solutions for real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people, where your safety and security deserves technology that has been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Make sure you call 1-800. You see it on the screen there. Stay out.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, dry-aged beef, and Wagyu beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today by visiting their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods, where they have grab-and-go steaks that are delicious. Or you can order online at fairwaypacking.com. Again, that's fairwaypacking.com.
All right, welcome back.
And we're back
to Woodward Nights. My bad, Broder.
Oh, no. I actually cut in for you there. You were going to take that over. But, dude, I was rolling after that read, and I saw Answer 14. We got Steve Lehman. We got Mike Hill, and we got a ton of people donating, man. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you all.
Shout out Answer 14, baby.
Yes.
Hey, Nick really wanted to shout out Answer 14. I don't know why, but shout out Answer 14. That might be Nick over there. Nick might have a backup account there, Answer 14. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. And make sure you share and tell a friend about Woodward Nights from 8 to 10 every single night. We appreciate you guys all tuning in. Seriously. Someone said here, Steve-O Baby said, I think he meant to say Booner. What would be your celebration after making a tackle?
Give it to him.
That's a good one. One time when I was in college, we did the pregame things, and when I was coaching college basketball, and they wanted me to get in the middle of the circle where everyone dances, and I hit the what is this? I hit
y'all know nothing about that's the blade dance, bro.
that's what I hit. That's what they all taught me to do that. So that would be
that's
mine.
a classic Detroit.
I would get a sack and I would go up there a little hutch.
Dance, bro.
And that was what Hutch was trying to do! Exclamation on trying or trying to do last year, right?
Was he?
The blade dance. It's like a
okay.
Yeah, that's a blade. That's Blade Icewood.
Yeah, I hit that in a big arena with 5,000 people in there. So
come on,
everyone was like, yeah, Booner.
Do you know I had to rap in front of 5,000 people for it is the University of Michigan Mock Rock. It's like the student athlete variety show. The freshman, my freshman year, we had to perform a rap, and I had to do it with one of the other freshmen. So it's on YouTube. Michigan baseball Mock Rock.
Well, it was you and Denard Robinson.
No, but I did shout out Denard Robinson, and we got second place. We got second place. We went from last place, I think the year before they told me, to second place.
What are the chances of me saying that about Denard Robinson, and then you actually put him in that? So, all right, people, let's get into this. Let's do this. We're going to talk a little bit about this Detroit Lions defensive line, because that was the talk. We could say it on here. Jeff Iafrate on the pregame show. Listen, we and him had our conversation. We ended the beef through text today, if he's watching at all. But he tried to say that, hey, I kind of, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong in chat, I'm sure you all agree with me as well. But going into the game, it was, hey, Hutch, you have 13 pressures on the year, right? You're second in the league in pressures. All those guys around you that have pressures, I don't care if they have someone next to them. I don't care what they have behind. I don't care any of that. When you're getting a quarterback pressure, that means you're standing face to face with the quarterback, correct?
Yeah.
So when you have 13, when you're looking the quarterback in the face 13 times, I expect you to get him down at least once, correct?
Correct.
So that was my point on the pregame show when Jeff tried to say, "Oh, Booner, you were sitting here like you were wrong. You were wrong." No, I wasn't wrong. I wanted Aiden Hutchinson to step up and get a sack. I said he was going to get 15 sacks this year, and he had 0 through 2 games with 13 cute pressures. So go get a sack, and he did it. And to Jeff's point, yes, and I know Neil sat right where I am, and Neil said it doesn't matter who's around him, it doesn't matter then, it doesn't matter if those guys step up. I went and clipped. I should have put the clip in there. I went and clipped, and I sent it to Jeff right after the show that he said that I literally sat in that chair, Broder, and you listened to it. I sent the clip to you. And I said, other guys need to step up to help him out. John Kaminsky, Charles Harris, Romeo Okwara, Benito Jones, Aleem McNeil, Isaiah Buggs. And I named everyone. And I said, Jeff, I agree with you. These guys need to step up. And guess what, Broder? Those boys stepped up. 7 sacks on the day by 6 different people. Aiden Hutchinson, 2 sacks. Broder, you were there. The vibe. After the game, you spoke with Aleem McNeil. What was the vibes like from that defensive line?
First off, it was hard to hear any of the interviews because the locker room was so loud. Also, real quick, shout out to Steve Wiles. Jeff's a biatch, run Jeff run. That was in response to yours. Steve, thank you so much. But it was a very anxious type of hunger. Like they were excited at the game they just played. They were excited at the level that they picked their own game up to, getting on the stat sheet with sacks and pressures and actually finishing these drives on defense. But it was the areas of improvement that they want to still see out of themselves. Aleem McNeil himself told them that they're trending upwards right now. It was like a subtle we know we did good, but we got a lot more work to do, but I think we figured out what it takes to have this kind of game. And just because it was against the Atlanta Falcons doesn't mean that they aren't confident moving forward. That's a good offensive line that the Falcons have and an incredible run game. And to go and then get the quarterback in that situation is huge. So whether it was Aleem McNeil or Isaiah Buggs or any of those guys on the defensive line, they're still hungry, I should say. They're still ready to go and are eyeing that Packers game. They escaped without much injury.
And with the Hutch thing too here is he said it in his press conference after, and I kind of looked at this as the whole defensive line, but he was like, I had a 0 next to that sacks the first 2 weeks, and he literally, I'm pretty sure, another paraphrase from Booner, I'm a pro at it, But he basically just said, "Hey, I just needed to open the jar. I just needed to get in, and I just needed to feel one go, and then we can that's when the floodgates open." And it happened too, because again today or yesterday, 6 more pressures, two pass deflections, 1 huge pass deflection, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit, 4 tackles, 91.8 PFF grade, the highest on the Detroit Lions, and 2 sacks on top of that. That is an elite game.
And most of that came in the second half where they needed to slam the door shut. They needed to keep it shut.
6 pressures again. So what is he at? 19 for the season?
He's got 18 pressures, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, 2 batted passes through 3 games. And I think it's like a 15% pressure rate is near the top of the NFL. So he got it done. But in his best game, his teammates, the other guys in the defensive line and the linebackers coming off the edge, that's where they were able to now get in that stat sheet and get sacks, hurries, pressures, QB hits. It's across the line. I don't know who to give credit to, and it's a little bit of everybody. Aiden Hutchinson showed out, as did the rest of his teammates on the defensive line. And just his second sack, the one in the second half that he forced the fumble and then he recovered it on his own, where he did the little stanky leg, that basically sealed the game. That was the moment where we knew the Lions were going to get that dub, and it was just so. It was so great to see Aiden Hutchinson be the one in that moment.
The best part about it, fellas, is that whole starting defensive line the first 2 weeks. What do you usually have? Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris on the other side, Benito Jones, Aleem McNeil. That's usually that's been the starting 4 that they've kind of they've thrown, first 4 guys they've thrown out there every single week. Each one of them got a sack.
Yes.
Each one of them left that game with a sack.
Yes.
None of those top 4 guys that we've all talked about, we complained about the last week. They all, I swear, they probably all listen to Woodward Sports, because they all took they took it personal.
Yeah.
They probably saw all the clips. They probably saw the reels that everyone puts out. They probably turned on all these other places around the city, and they heard. Oh, they kept hearing Benito Jones. You know what, Benito Jones, you were 111 out of 114. I wonder what that is now. Probably moved up a little bit. Aleem McNeil, what were you? 96 out of 114, maybe around there. Charles Harris, where were you? Where were these? They stepped up, and that did, in fact, Jeff, that did help Aiden Hutchinson and open things up. And that was the point that, as well as the clip that I have when I said these guys need to step up, and they did that. And they proved us all wrong. Now they open that jar. Now it's time to do that week after week after week. Build off that. Romeo Quora, join the party. Isaiah Buggs, join the party. Am I missing anyone? John Kaminsky, join the party.
You know, I love
follow after your teammates.
I love seeing join the party, and I'm going to sneak them into this defensive line segment. It's those linebackers, and it's all 4 of them. All 4 of them.
Round of applause to the linebackers, everyone.
I know. This was by far Derek Barnes' best game that I've seen him play. He was all over the field. He and Jack Cable both got a sack. Jack's was the last play of the first half, which whether it impacted the game on the field or not, whenever you have a moment like that going into the locker room, it's massive. And it does something to your morale in that locker room. It's like hitting a half-court shot at halftime, regardless of the score. There's just some boost that it gives to you. Yep. So Jack Campbell did that. Malcolm played a good game. He actually played really well on special teams. But then Anzalone and Derek Barnes, I thought, played very, very well. So it was great to see them contribute. And Nick, I see you raising your hand. Did you have a comment on the defensive line?
Yeah, the defensive line and just Aaron Glenn in general. I came at him pretty hard on Friday. I was very vocal about how much I didn't agree with his philosophy so far. So I thought it was great that we actually started to get pressure. And now, like you just said, Booner, it opens up this jar of he can be consistent with it. And hopefully we see this Thursday that he is consistently sending pressure, because that's when this defense is at its best.
Yeah, and we got to give credit to Aaron Glenn, putting these guys in these situations with the loss of James Houston and Josh Pascal and some of those big bodies. Buggs came up, and he did have an impact, although he only played 16 or 20 snaps. But Aaron Glenn put them all in the right position. And even though, yes, and a lot of people have talked about it today, Desmond Ridder is not the best quarterback. He didn't play very well. He missed a lot of wide receivers who were wide open, and that could have changed the game. I still think the Lions would have won, but it might have been a little bit closer. Regardless, they did what it needed to get done, and they were able to get to Desmond Ridder with that crowd that we talked about, make his life difficult, and force some of those errant throws. So I still give credit to Aaron Glenn and even Kelvin Shepard, John Scott Jr., the linebacker and the defensive line coach.
Shout out Kelvin Shepard.
Yeah,
he's got those boys really really going right
The
now.
linebacker position was not one that was talked about very positively in 2022.
Follower of the network, by
Yes.
the way. I think he helped run the soul. He's active on our socials. But Lorena Rios at Booner, of course, Woodward Sports is the main motivator for the Lions. You said it, not me.
Yeah. Hell yeah! Facts.
Lorena just said it. I don't know if that was sarcastic or not, but I'll take it. Shout out Lorena for that. They listen and they know.
You know who else listens to you, Booner? I think it's Brad Holmes, and he made some moves this offseason that we're going to tell you about in about 90 seconds. But first, Booner, can you tell them about Planet Fitness?
Yes, Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and I mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. We are here to help you build a lasting, active lifestyle. At Planet Fitness, you will experience squeaky clean gyms, cleaned by Nick himself in the sound booth, that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes, and then a 30-minute circuit. And all memberships include fitness training. For more information or to join today, make sure you visit your local Planet Fitness or go to planetfitness.com. Again, that is planetfitness.com, where your fitness is essential.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
How would you like to see famous athletes like Jim Harbaugh, Braylon Edwards, and Darren McCarty play golf with average Joes? Thanks to Randy Wise Automotive and Woodward Sports Network, you will be able to do just like that. It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. So why don't you make the wise choice and pay attention to Woodward Sports for more coming soon.
Welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner. As always, do not lose. Joined as always with the one, the only Matthew Broder, Detroit Lions beat reporter for Woodward Sports. Jalen in the TD booth as always, and Nick in the sound booth. Appreciate you all tuning in. Look, that backdrop looks beautiful. I love that. Woodward Nights, baby. Nice. Love it. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe. Tell a friend. I think Easy says it. Be a friend and tell a friend. Please.
He does say that.
Would love it for you guys to tell people about this show 8 to 10 so we can keep on growing for the people.
You know what you were calling for all week? Andre Brittley just called it out. Jack Fox was outstanding. Yeah, damn right he was outstanding. Finally.
I kept saying that man's the best puncher in the NFL.
He is.
Let that man play. Paid him for a reason. Let him pin him inside the 15 every time.
I just knew that would just get your juices.
Hey, the show's starting to get better because Broder's starting to know me really, really well.
This
he
is
knows
rhythm,
what
baby.
sets me off.
This is what experience. This is how it's.
You
imagine
know
us in like a month and then 6 months. It's gonna be of epic proportions.
People
Kind of like
better
Brad
watch
Holmes'
out.
draft.
Yeah, people better watch out. Show's gonna do some nothing. Number one. We're coming for you, Jeff Ifrady.
We're taking over that nighttime, but Booner.
Oh, we're taking over the nighttime in Detroit for sure.
Well, without a doubt. But it's hard to imagine this team without this set of rookies. Like, I don't even know how to intro it. They've been incredible, and it's not just the rookies this season, which we're going to talk about right now. It's the last 2 drafts of Brad Holmes, really the last 3, but he's really, really hit on these last 2. And the rookies showed up yesterday. And yesterday, it was the second-rounders that really showed out. But Gibbs and Campbell, they had a good game too. And then Colby Sorsdale, he came in full and played the entire second half after Matt Nelson went out with an ankle injury, and Dan Skipper, who came in to replace him, also went out 3 plays later. So Colby Sorsdale, who took maybe 5 total reps at right tackle in training. Well, Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Sorry.
my bad there.
No.
Sound drop, and then he cut it off.
All good.
This is, man.
I lost my train of thought,
Threw
but
him off.
Colby Sorsdale didn't get much reps at right tackle, and yes, Booner, take over, please.
I'm sorry, that was
Broder, my bad. That was my first mishap in the sound booth here. I apologize for that.
Good.
I think that was fine. I mean, I think you were trying to hit a sound drop. He just wasn't ready for it. That was awesome. One thing, though, we're talking rookies real quick, Broder.
Yes.
Two best rookies on the field, obviously. Best player on the field. We already talked about it, Brian Branch. Second best rookie on the field, and probably one of the best in the NFL, Sam Laporta.
You can't deny it.
On my drive over here, I was thinking about this in this segment here. Brad Holmes, and this is a situation, too, where last week, and we're going to talk about the state of the Detroit Lions, but last week a lot of people were going, very surprising to me, this shocked me more than ever, people going at Brad Holmes' head.
I know.
For Jahmyr Gibbs. Oh, you took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12. Oh, it was just one. It was literally 2 weeks into his career, and we're gonna go at Brad Holmes for taking Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12. Now, let me tell you something real quick. Everybody who talks about Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, he traded back. He got the pick to where he got Sam Laporta. And yes, and Lucas tried to throw the argument to me to where, well, if you don't make that trade, if you make that trade, you probably don't get Brian Branch. Maybe not as well. So you're sitting there, you trade back for Jahmyr Gibbs, and you basically get yourself in a position to get a Sam Laporta and a Brian Branch who falls, and they have that depth to be able to do that. You came out of this NFL draft class with one, and let me put this into context too for you guys. What were the two things that we needed on this Detroit Lions team going into the draft? Secondary, and on offense, what were we doing? We had only 3 guys, 3 average players, tight end by committee. So at some point, you knew Brad Holmes was probably going to take a tight end. Definitely not in the first round like Green Bay or like we used to. Brad Holmes came out of the NFL draft with the best secondary player, the best safety in that draft class. He came out of that draft class with the best tight end out of that draft class. 2 major needs on your team, and Brad Holmes went. He didn't just address those positions. He got the best secondary player and the best safety in the draft class, and he got the best tight end in the draft class. How many other tight ends were taken in the first round? 2 maybe?
Well, I think it was just Michael Mayer.
Luke Musgraves went to the Green Bay, and Michael Mayer went to, I think, Vegas.
The Bills got one, boys.
And Bills, Dalton Kincaid.
Out of Utah, I think.
Was in the first round?
Yeah, first round.
So you have 3 guys there. And Brad Holmes got the best tight end and the best secondary and safety in that draft class. So all those people that were going at Brad Holmes' head, now you're sitting here on a Monday and you look stupid. Because he has 2 of the best players in that draft.
Yeah, it really looks like these 2 guys on offense specifically, they're going to be ballers for the next 5 to 6 years, just putting up huge numbers on this offense. And with J-Mo coming back, it's going to open up even more things over the middle for Laporta and Gibbs coming out of the backfield.
And to that point, too, I could say those are the best safety, the best secondary player, and the best tight end in the draft. That's not even those aren't even our first 2 overall picks in the draft. That's not our 12th or 18th pick. That's our second round picks, where he got one of the best secondary player in the draft and the best tight end in the draft. And he did that in the second round.
And Dalton Kincaid, he was the only tight end drafted in the first round. So everyone else was on the board for Brad Holmes to choose.
Oh, so he was the only one?
Yeah, and you think about
I thought Green Bay.
It was after they went back-to-back tight ends.
You know what it was? In
round,
all of the mock drafts, everyone kept saying that they were going to go after like Kincaid and stuff.
Yeah, Michael Mayer was a surefire first rounder.
That's what it was.
Yeah, but Brad Holmes keeps hitting when you think about those 2. And like you said, Jahmyr Gibbs, he got his carries yesterday. Colby Sorsdale stood in and played decent when asked to do something he's not comfortable with. I know we're still all looking for Broderick Martin, but to play to make the active roster. But man, Brad Holmes is hitting. He's hitting for sure. I know you had some words about Sam Laporta. You reported some records that he broke.
Yes, and this was crazy too, because last week I put out a tweet and we shared it on the show on Monday to where it said that he was the fourth or 5th most receiving yards in the NFL by a tight end. And Jalen, if you could throw up this tweet that I had right there, the Detroit Lions got an absolute steal in the 2023 NFL draft in Sam Laporta. He currently I don't know. I don't think there's any tight ends in the games tonight that are close to him. But he currently leads all tight ends around the NFL in receiving yards with 186 and leads the NFL for tight ends in yards per game with 62 yards per game. And I'm pretty sure I tweeted that out Sunday during the 4 o'clock games. I don't think there's any tight ends that are going to catch him in these games tonight. Dallas Goedert, maybe?
See you at draft
I don't think he will.
He clearly has the confidence of Jared Goff. And I haven't really followed the other tight ends, but he's far and away performing better than them at this point. And when we talked about Jared Goff only had 4 targets to wide receivers and tight ends yesterday. He trusts him. He went 8 catches, I think it was, 8 receptions on 9 targets, all over the field too. It's really refreshing to see a rookie like that, and he's such a happy, cheerful guy to just come in and make plays.
He goes back to. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
brother.
go for it.
It goes back to that tight end. Again, I keep going back to that interview when George Kittle came out and said the confidence that he has, the way he plays the game, he's going to be the best tight end in this draft class. And the way he said that, it made me feel like that he knew that he was going to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL.
100%. Booner, will you tell the people about the Lions pregame?
Yes, Detroit Lions pregame show. And if you guys didn't know, maybe I am on that show. So Woodward Sports Lions pregame show returns for another season of Lions football. Join Woodward Sports' own host, Jeff Eifrady, with weekly special guests on the Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Whether you're sipping some Kool-Aid or you're just kicking and screaming about the SOL, one of those people, you will not want to miss this show. Live every single Sundays. Well, Sundays for game days are 9:30 to 11:30. We will be live Thursday, I believe, from 6 to 8. I will be sitting right in this chair with Jeff Eifrady across the desk from me. We will be up here for the Green Bay Packers pregame show. So make sure you guys tune in on the Woodward Sports Network.
Booner, I have a question for you, and I want to phrase it to the chat as well.
Love it.
Would the Detroit Lions be winless without these rookies?
That's a great question.
It's a tough one to answer, but it got me thinking earlier today.
I don't think winless.
Okay.
Because if you look at it last year, like say you take away Sam Laporte, a huge piece. And to me, statistically wise, he's the best tight end in the NFL right now. Statistically wise. You could say he's a top 7 tight end in the NFL outside of that. But last year, when they went 8-2, they showed that they had 3 tight ends that could do it by committee.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff can play like that. David Montgomery. If they don't draft Jahmyr Gibbs, they probably keep DeAndre Swift, and he's been solid, and he probably would have been solid too. They probably, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery. No Brian Branch. You probably have, obviously you had some injuries, but you probably have a couple other guys that you brought in. There's definitely. Maybe actually the secondary would be different because
there's a lot of hypotheticals that come along with this question.
That was more of a depth piece.
Yeah.
Because I do remember when he did get drafted, I know the heavyweights spoke about it. There was a period of time where they were like, he's not going to touch the field because we had so many people in that secondary. And then he started practicing, and they were like, no, he will. So, yeah, I think they still win probably 2 games out of these last, I would say. Probably the same record.
At least maybe, get one. Yeah, at least one of the two.
Maybe.
One of the two, we'll see. But it just put into my mind just how
It's a great
impactful
question,
they've been.
Did anyone in the chat answer that?
We've gotten some yeses, some nos. It seems to be a mixed bag. But again, I just look back to that pick 6 that Brian Branch had, which was totally an instinctual play. He was in the right position from Aaron Glenn's scheme, but he was in the right play, and then everything that he and Laporta did, it was just – I don't know. It's fun to see these rookies not just come in and play, but come in and contribute to a winning team. And they're needed. Like, no one expected this team to be hit with this many injuries. And these rookies are coming in like vets and performing. And one of the wildest things I saw, and I can't remember I saw the stat. I think it was when I was scrolling around PFF, but Jahmyr Gibbs on runs to the left of the center, so to the left of Frank Ragnow, behind Frank, Jonah Jackson, and Penei Sewell, he had 68 yards rushing, and I can't remember exactly how many rushes, but when he ran to the right side where they've been hit with those injuries, they had Graham Glasgow filling in, who played great. He played all 70 snaps. He played great, but Matt Nelson, Skipper, and Colby,
you're going through 3 guys there.
On the right side, it was like 7. It was like 7 rushes for 12 yards. It was significantly less. So you see how impactful those offensive linemen can be, and how important it is for Taylor Decker to come back, and we're hoping to see him on Thursday.
The left and the right side thing, with Taylor Decker coming back, that would be huge, especially even if with no Big V. I think Taylor Decker and Glasgow, they're like best friends, I'm pretty sure, and they're like
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in his wedding. So they definitely are going to have some chemistry, and they're going to be fine together on that right side. I did think there was something to it as well, too. We talked about it on the stream a little bit, to where D-Mac, I think, brought it up. But we were like, stop going to the right. We kept saying that. Like, why are we going to the right side? Why are we going to the right side? Like, stop. Like,
interesting.
Give him that. But then the biggest part was, once you saw in the third and fourth quarter, they started going back to that other side. It felt like they were setting them up a little bit.
It just popped into my head.
They were just setting them up. They're going to say, hey, we're going to keep going here. We're going to go here. We're going to go here. And then in that third quarter, late third quarter, fourth quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs got those big runs, all left side. They flipped it.
And Jared Goff, his RPO, his run pass option for the touchdown, was on a run to Gibbs to the right. He was in shotgun,
They were
handoff to
setting it
Gibbs.
all up.
And he goes and he gets the wide open run, and Calais Campbell dove at his feet. But Jared Goff.
Ben Johnson, shout out.
Yes, that's Ben Johnson.
Those are things you don't think about in the moment. Like that's the game plan things that they bring up, and they know what they're doing. So as much as like if you go out and rewatch the stream, we're yelling like, "Stop going to the right side! Like we don't need it." And then it's like
I didn't even think about that.
When Jahmyr starts getting those balls on the left side, D-Mac kind of brought up the game plan. Think about it, and we're like, "Yeah, you're definitely up to something, man."
Smart. Sit down, be humble. Booner, before we tell them about the state of the Detroit Lions, we're just going to have a heart-to-heart with you guys out there.
Yeah, we need to reel everyone back in.
We do. But tell them about SMA, the sports marketing agency.
Yes, the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, make sure you head over to thesportsma.com. Again, that is thesportsma.com.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win an all-expenses-paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament for you and 5 of your best buds. That's right, college basketball's most elite event. You and your 5 best friends just get to any Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically register to win the trip of your dreams. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Do you have football on the brain? Fall ushers in college and professional football, and this fall has been great already. Fall's also the perfect time to shop for your home and auto insurance. Swiss Insurance covers Woodward Sports, and they should be covering you, so shop it like a pro at Swiss Insurance. Ask for Market Swiss Insurance today over at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177.
All right, welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner. And I almost call myself Booner. With Booner and Broder.
Excuse me?
My name is Booner. Everyone always messes it up, and I just did as well. So I did, yes.
Okay.
My name is Booner. Sitting over here next to me, as always, is Matthew Broder, Detroit Lions beat reporter for the Woodward Sports Network.
Farther away from you now.
Jalen in the TD booth, as always, and Nick in the sound booth.
Let's go.
This is kind of the moment. I text Broder this morning. What do we want to talk about after this game? And I wanted to address kind of the state of the Detroit Lions, and Broder, I wanted you to as well, and if the boys want to as well.
Oh yeah.
But this was kind of at the first segment, and we talked about a little bit, to where last Monday, that overreaction Monday, every single person, it seemed like, all of those like same old Lions people that were in caves for the last 8 months when the Detroit Lions were 8-2. And they, after the 1-6 start, they were all out. And then when they started winning games, those people just like burrowed back in their little caves. And then after the loss here at home versus Seahawks last Monday, it felt like every single same old Lions fan kind of just came out and they're like, oh, sunlight, we're back. I was like, no, bro, go back into your cave. We don't need you. And we don't want you. So it felt like every single person in America was on the Detroit Lions bandwagon. And then last Monday, a wheel fell off of that bandwagon and we lost about half of the people on it. And now we got a spare tire, and people are trying to hop back on. So we wanted to address the state of the Detroit Lions because that was a very passionate thing I had last week for people to calm down, sit down, strap up. It's a long football season, 17 weeks long. Broder, after this game, I asked a question on the pregame show to Neil, and he did make a good point, but I don't want to ask it to you, but I brought it up and said, what do the Detroit Lions need to do on Sunday versus the Falcons to get back in the driver's seat of the North, where it's very clear it's them, and back to where Detroit Lions fans felt like they were after the Chiefs game, that confidence level where they could still compete for the NFC. Do you think this game they did that, and that they kind of pushed that narrative back towards the front again?
I do. I think they reestablished their identity, especially on the defensive end. I think they needed to get back to the place where their defensive line was their first it's going to sound stupid, their first line of defense. The first guys that are making a difference and really affecting the quarterback and the backfield and what that offensive coordinator of the opposing team wants to do. When they're able to do that, and we saw it especially in the last 10 games of the last 12 games of last season. No, I'm sorry, the last 10 games of last season, when Aiden Hutchinson and that defensive line was able to get to quarterbacks, able to get pressures in the backfield and affect what they wanted to do, that's when the defensive secondary and the linebackers started to pick up. That's when Kirby Joseph started becoming a ball hawk, and the other players around him started to step up. So to me, I wanted to see them reestablish that. And that was both because of how poor they played in the first two games, actually finishing off their pressure, but also because it does need to be their identity, because regardless of who's out on the field, they've been hit by several injuries. And for big players on the defense too, regardless of who's out there, if the defensive line is getting pressure and actually affecting the game plan and affecting the quarterback, that helps everything else out. That makes the life of the Jerry Jacobs and Cam Suttons. Shout out Cam Sutton, by the way, his hometown team, the Falcons. We don't talk about him enough, but he played sensationally. So shout out to you, Cam Sutton. All set up by that defensive line. They had an incredible game, and this includes Derek Barnes and Jack Campbell. They really set the tone from the start. That first sack by Benito Jones was almost like the monkey off their back, and it just seemed the floodgates started to open after that.
I felt this way too, and I already mentioned it today on the show, to where that Lions 1-6 kind of that start last year, you kind of felt that turn in momentum. And Dan Campbell, Sheila came out last year and said, hey, relax, we're going to be fine. And I felt that after last week. That's what that Monday felt like to me on the show. It was like this was that moment to where it's either we can, like in last year when we were 1-6, or the Detroit Lions were 1-6, you could feel it's like either you're going to be on that side of fire Aaron Glenn and move on and get into that dirty hole, or like you can go on this side here, like where Easy was like defend the Glenn, or the side where it's like no, let's keep pushing, things are going to be fine. There was that turning point. It felt like last Monday was that, and for it to be week 2, I already said this today, is very, very beneficial, because you saw, to some of your points on defense, you saw the defense with so many injuries, and they still found a way to be dominant.
Yeah. So Booner, did you have another comment to make?
What were you going to say?
I want to ask you, like, with this and with the new with the success they had on Sunday, and looking around the NFL, looking around the NFC North specifically, are they still the clear favorite to win the NFC North, or has anything changed for you in that aspect?
For me, and I want to look it up here too. I'm gonna pull it up on the betting app, because I want to see
what the odds are.
This is interesting to see the ways it moves a little bit. And they're plus 100 right now on FanDuel. So I think
they're favored?
They are favored, because the other one's like plus 160, plus 180. But no, yeah, I'm very more confident in it. I'm way more confident, because this was, like I said, this was that turning point to where if you go into Atlanta and you don't bounce back, like, and you go 1-2, and you're sitting there and you have to go on the road and go 2-2, and not even that. Even if you went 2-1, but it was like a sketchy 2-1.
Yeah.
That was a dominant 2-1. The offense controlled they controlled the ball. I know there was times where like you wanted them to punch it in, and they didn't do it. But that defense, like with all those injuries, that defense, Aaron Glenn found a way to dominate dominate that Falcons run game. Dominate.
And
get 7 sacks.
It was a gritty game. It wasn't perfect. They didn't play perfect, but they figured out a way to win. And Dan Campbell matured in this game, I feel like, too. I think they punted 6 times. They actually allowed Jack Campbell out onto that field, and they were in situations where you should punt.
Yeah.
I think there was one that I might have gone for it on 4th down, but regardless, just seeing how comfortable he looked out there.
Even Lucas was like, "I'll go for it." We were like, last week you were saying you wanted to punt it or you wanted to kick the field goal.
Exactly, but they
just kicked the field goal. They get it. Man.
They were able to flip the field. They were able to control the time of possession and control where the offense gets the ball. The defense could take advantage of that.
I will say Dan Campbell coached a hell of a game.
He did.
Dan Campbell did. There was one moment, if you guys watched the stream, where I threw my hat and I started screaming.
I couldn't watch it.
When he threw the challenge flag.
Oh, that was his one mistake.
That was that was the dumbest challenge flag. I don't know, and I said it on this, dude, I was like, I don't know who's sitting up there in the booth watching these plays to be like, hey, Dan Campbell, because it's not him. He's got people to tell him that.
Good point.
Give me that job. I'll do it better than that. Because the thing was, it wasn't like we were already up 20-3. It was 13-3. So a challenge at that point, it could still affect to where, hey, if they get a touchdown, you still could use 3 timeouts to be safe. That's a team last week that came back from 12 points in 1 quarter and beat another NFC North team. So that was the one mistake where I was like, Dan, I know you fixed all the problems that we had last week. I'll give you your flowers for that. That was dumb.
You wonder how that happens because, head coach in the NFL isn't just listening to a player coming over to the sideline and saying, I caught that, I caught that.
Watching it for sure.
Yeah, and after the second replay, you could see it.
Dude, the first replay instantly hit the ground.
Exactly, you could see it.
Most obvious.
So who's in his ear telling him, no, challenge, he caught that 100% sure.
Pay me $10,000 for the season. I'll come to all 17 games and I'll do that.
Wild, Nick, what you got?
Yeah, I think this was the biggest win of the season so far in my eyes because for the sanity of all of these fans. We would have been absolutely destroyed if we dropped this second straight home game to Atlanta, especially before we go out to Lambeau where we know we can win. So I think it just gives us so much more confidence, this whole team, this whole fan base really going into Lambeau. And another thing about this game is that we were favored on the road at Lambeau. I think that tells a huge story of where they think this Lions team is compared to the other NFC North division teams.
Certainly a game we can win, and we're going to talk about that at 9:40. But you got to have all the confidence in the world after this game. Now we're going to see the Green Bay Packers. They're battling some injuries.
We're going to talk about it too. I'm very confident in this Packers game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're a Falcons level team, if not worse. That's how I feel about it.
I think they're a little better. I think their defense is better. I trust Jordan Love a little bit more in just a small sample size.
The more I think about it, though, there's nothing about them that, the way you just saw this defense play, there's nothing about them what Aaron Jones, we just stopped the second best running back in the NFL right now, Bijan Robinson. Aaron Jones isn't.
And he might not even play.
Yeah, A.J. Dillon, I don't know.
No Bakhtiari, possibly.
If we get our guys back.
I do think, especially on the road, especially in division on the road, they need to clean up the penalties. They had 10. It was 10 for 119 yards against the Falcons. They didn't seem to hurt them. They seemed to control what happened after those penalties. But on the road, that's what road crowds feed off of. That's what home teams, I should say, home crowds against you feed off of. So They do need to clean that up. It was not a perfect game, but you got to feel more confident after seeing how that defense played, how that offense played, missing offensive linemen and missing pieces around the outside. Nothing was perfect, but they managed to just grit out that game against the Falcons.
Yeah, Dan Campbell even mentioned that, through the first 2 years, so far through these first 2 games, these are the most penalties that they've ever had since he's been the head coach. So that's something. But to me, to end this whole thing, and then we'll hear, I think I'm gonna. Or you're going to be telling us about Dispo in a second. But I just want to end the state of the Detroit Lions with this, Broder. That win there showed us that SOL, and I'm going to say this all year, that SOL narrative's gone.
Gone.
Same old Lions, SOL, they would have gone into that game coming off of a bad loss, and they would have lost that game.
Yeah.
Or they would have played that game super, super, super close. They wouldn't have bounced back. Just seeing that they went into Ford Field and dominated the Atlanta Falcons, a team that was 2-0, sketchy 2-0, yes, but a team that was 2-0, and they proved that defense with injuries stepped up, made adjustments, had a good game plan, finished the job. Defensive line stepped up. The offense controlled the game. Special teams did special teams things. Jack Fox, shout out Jack Fox, best puncher in the NFL. He did his thing. And Dan Campbell found a way to change up his mistakes, and he came back prepared. Excuse me.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass.
I will as well. But same old line narrative's gone because that would have been SOL if we would have went in and lost that game.
What do you have to say to people who think SOL's still alive? It's gone. SOL?
SOL, done.
Done.
It's done.
Gone.
Maybe we'll take callers. SOL is done. The guy that called in last week, I appreciate you calling in. Done. I can't remember his name, but I would say maybe don't call back in or call back in. But if you call back in with the SOL stuff, hang it up. Boom.
SOL's dead. Hell yeah, boys.
Let me tell you about Dispo. And come on back after. We're going to go around the NFL, talk about Overreaction Monday. But Dispo, you can experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis at the Dispo dispensary. They have over 12 locations, including their new location in Whitmore Lake. Dispo is never far away. So why don't you join Woodward Sports at Dispo Romeo this Friday for an all-day live broadcast. That's Dispo Dispensary, DispoShops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
How would you like to win a 100K Vegas getaway? You can take your closest friends and live it up in the city that never sleeps. It's the Syntron Energy. Drink it and live it. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter to win the 100K Vegas getaway at drinksyntron.com/Vegas. And you can buy Syntron at your local Meijer store. So Syntron, the healthier energy drink with the great taste and the choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best versions of themselves. So check them out at drinksyntron.com/Vegas.
All right, welcome. Whoa.
Hey.
Shout out IT Hips
Shout
for
out
the
IT
$5.
Hips. Now put that music back on again while we shout out IT Hips.
Hey, shout out IT
Because it cuts out when the drops go on.
Shout out IT Hips. Welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner, as always. Broder.
You see what he said?
What did he say?
He or she. I think it's a he, but SOL is absolutely dead. Brand new Lions, baby.
Brand new Lions, baby. Let's go. I love that. I saw it the chain on. I went to go look for the chain. Forgot I had it on. Shout out. We got Jalen in the TD booth and Nick in the sound booth. If you guys can, real quick, everybody, stop what you're doing and hit that like button for us, please. Subscribe if you have not already. And tell a friend. Be a friend and tell a friend. Please. We'll love that. But, Broder?
Yeah.
I want everyone to stick around for this segment in the chat here because we're going to just talk a little bit outside here around the NFL. One segment.
They like football. They like NFL.
Of around the NFL. We do this every single Monday at 9:30. It is called Overreaction Monday.
I'll kick this off.
I'll start with you here.
I'm gonna phrase a statement to the crew here, and you're gonna tell me if it's an overreaction or not. Clear, right? I don't know if I explained those directions, but it should be simple. And here's our first example. I'm going to say that Brandon Staley is not the worst head coach in the NFL. That is Josh McDaniels. of the Las Vegas Raiders. Is that an overreaction or an underreaction?
That was one of the worst calls in NFL history, not to kick that field goal.
What is he doing?
And I know, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. Was brutal.
So you think Josh McDaniels...
He's been bad.
As an offensive coordinator, he seems to be great, but as a head coach, I had to make it clear that I'm putting head coach in that question.
He single-handedly kicked out...
Terrible.
He kicked out Derek Carr from that organization, the guy who gave them a ton, and that was fine before with Gruden. He was fine then. They were going to the playoffs. They were perfectly fine. He came in, destroyed everything. Yeah. I would have loved to see Devontae Adams and Derek Carr with Gruden. Would have loved to seen it. I think that would have been way better than what they have going on now because he's bad.
Is Brandon Staley number 2?
Probably.
All right, second down the list, the Cowboys that lost to the Cardinals yesterday. They're the Cowboys we should expect to see for the rest of the year. Overreaction or not?
That was one of mine.
Oh, really?
In mine overreactions, like a little different than yours, Broder, is if it's overreaction or not. Mine I always bring are...
You get me 2 in a row.
Mine are basically just... This is a true overreact. Like, this is actually real.
Okay.
And I put the Dallas Cowboys are no longer America's team.
Okay.
And they're done. They might make the playoffs. They might win 10 games, 11 games. But it felt like there's that moment every single year, Broder, to where it's like, oh, maybe the Dallas Cowboys they're back. Maybe they're back. It's been like that my whole life. I've never seen them actually back before in my lifetime. And it was like that last week. Their defense has been humming. Everything's been good. And guess what? They had that game that showed everyone that they're the real Dallas Cowboys.
And did you see that Dak's interview after the game where he was basically blaming the media? Like, you guys hyped us up too much. You put much.
Shut up, Dak.
Move.
Shut up. Come on, man. That's unbelievable.
You're up. Overreaction
my
Monday.
Second one here. I put here my second one. I said this yesterday after the Miami Dolphins put up 70 points. Miami Dolphins are winning the Super Bowl.
Wow. I'm gonna go with an overreaction, but they're gonna be in the Super Bowl. The way they looked yesterday, I mean,
they might win the Super Bowl.
If they play like they did yesterday, there's nobody that can beat them.
Never seen a team put up 70 points before.
I didn't.
That offense is good. That offense is so good, and then that defense, you get Jalen Ramsey back. I don't see how that team right now. They have a great coach, great head coach. That's the best team in the league.
Would you kick that
It's
field
going to
goal?
be them versus 49ers.
If you're Mike McDaniels, would you kick that field goal?
Which one?
So at the end of the game, you could have kicked the ball. Yeah, it would have been.
I would have kicked it. I don't care.
It would have been the highest scoring game.
Yeah, I don't care. Give me the record. Shout out for him though for sportsmanship. Teach that nowadays.
I would have kicked that too,
Yeah.
and I think it's great. Those interviews came back when he was the ball boy for Denver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those started to resurface. I would have
Those
kicked
aren't
it just
funny.
for that. Yeah, he looks like such a stoner, honestly.
Was he? There was a video or a picture that went viral of him hitting the vape during the game.
Yeah, that was
covering up
last
with his
year.
hand.
Last year he went viral for hitting his vape mid game, and then did an interview on it on Part of My Take.
Hey, shout out to
That's
Dispo.
funny.
Shout out to Dispo. How about this one? The Jacksonville Jaguars are the most overrated team in the NFL this season. Overreaction or not?
Not an overreaction. One of the worst teams. I think.
No, are overrated.
Oh, overrated? Yes.
Yeah.
Overrated? Yes.
The most.
Yes. Going into the season, this was a team that everyone's putting their Super Bowl, Trevor Lawrence MVP. I know the shows that I did before with Jeff, Gentry, and Lucas, that was a guy that they were all like super, super high on. Some of those guys were high on. And I was never I never could fall for that. Because the Lions played them and beat them by 30 points last year. This is the same team. Obviously, you added Calvin Ridley. That hype was cool after 1 week. But after that, what's been happening?
Oh, shots fired.
Dude,
I agree with you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I agree with you 100%.
It's one of those things where it's like there's that hype train and then it's going to fall off eventually. They lost by 30 last year. I know they went to the playoffs. They were down by 30 in the playoffs. If they weren't playing the Chargers, they'd probably lose that game by 30.
Yeah. It's troubling to see them get beat 2 weeks in a row, scoring less than 20 points, less than 15 points in both, especially one to the Texans, who look good, but we got to remember they're still the Texans. So I don't know about that, Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson.
Well, shout out C.J. Stroud, too.
They got Patty Mayonnaise.
I don't know what that
Doug
means.
You don't know Doug?
No.
Have you ever seen Doug the cartoon on Nickelodeon?
Yeah, but you said
Patty Mayonnaise was his girlfriend. Skeeter, cousin Skeeter, or not cousin Skeeter.
I have one of
That's
the
with Megan
worst.
Good.
I have one of the worst memories of all time.
Hey, you have to have a short memory when you're Olympic better. When you're a champion, all-time better.
I move on quick.
You
can ask me. I've watched all these shows. Couldn't tell you characters' names besides like I don't know, Hey Arnold or something. I don't know.
Nice.
That's right.
SpongeBob. I can tell you SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy.
I got you.
You know, so
I got you.
I've got a short term. I don't remember a lot from my childhood.
Do you have any more?
I have one more.
All right, let's hear it.
Last one here, and you fans, Lions fans, you're gonna love this. Minnesota Vikings are officially dead.
Wow.
Donezo. They're done.
Not an overreaction.
They are done. Neil said it this week. He said if they lose, it's going to be like the house of cards and it falls. And that is exactly what I feel like is happening now. They're 0-3. There's no chance that they make the playoffs, in my opinion. It's happened, I think, 6 or 7 teams have done it in the NFL ever in the history of the NFL. I think the last team to do it was like in 2014. Before that, might have been like in the 80s or something. I can't remember. But
hey, I'm not judging. Just like
done.
to shoot straight.
That franchise, boom, done. Wow. Kirk out. Justin Jefferson possibly out.
Kirk Cousins. He was in prime, pun intended, prime Kirk Cousins form. You know, the mishap at the end of the game, throwing that interception was horrible.
What are they doing not spiking the ball?
Yeah,
they had 30 seconds left and they just ran up and let it go all the way down to like 11. It was one of the most.
They said their crowd was too loud,
and people get mad sometimes at some of Dan Campbell's decisions. Listen, we have a good we have a good coach, man.
We do. To wrap things up before mailbag, we're going to do our one final segment about the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. A little preview before we really start digging into it tomorrow and Wednesday. But Booner, first, could you tell them about Big Boy?
Yes, Big Boy. Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taken over at Big Boy. Look at those two. Oh, those look beautiful up there. It is burger time. Try the new cheeseburger or our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Are you craving chicken? Try the Dale chicken sandwich or turn up some heat with the Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich, baby. Upgrade your regular fries to some chili cheese or loaded baked potato fries. And if you want some dessert, always got to get some dessert. Try the new Reese's Chocolate Peanut Butter Thunder Cake, or to satisfy that sweet tooth, try those funnel cake fries. Those babies are good over at Big Boy.
Big Boy.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer at Academy Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new field house. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Houghton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf, downtown's newest sports bar. It's got 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and most importantly, a full bar and restaurant. Mention promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit at 5irongolf.com to tee up the good time. So whether you're a serious golfer like D-Mac or just there for a good time like Sam Flannel, 5 Iron is the spot for you. That is 5iron.com to tee up the good times.
Welcome back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner. What a song. That's a new song there. On the screen here, I look so pale. It's crazy, man.
You look like
it is insane.
I am actually pretty yellow now, like one of those are they the Oompa Loompas in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah. I look like there's nothing on my face right now. There's no tone to it.
During the break, while I was doing that read out of my peripherals, you both were excited about something. Did something happen in that game?
Mike Evans just caught a pass for 22 yards.
Hell yeah.
And I want to throw this out there real quick. I have just a wild parlay going on right now. I have, and this is going to sound really weird to the people, but Jake Elliott over 1.5 field goals hit. Eagles money line up 25-3. Brett Maurer, the kicker for the Rams, over 1.5 hit. And I have, and Jalen, you're gonna be like, my last leg I need. I have Mike Evans' longest reception over 22.5 yards, and he just got a pass.
I'm about to say, Booner, he just caught one for about
22.
You have a 22.5?
22 yards!
And
I
you
needed
had
23!
Oh, 22.
That's going to be one of the worst beats ever.
Speaking of bad beats, Jared Goff, 7 yards to get to 250 yesterday. So shout out Jared for not getting one more 7-yard completed pass.
I might pass out and die on this show. I cannot believe I just looked at my screen and it said 22 yards.
It was a nasty catch. So he got hit in the air and everything and still held on to it.
22. I just needed one.
He tried to run though. He tried to run.
Just needed 1 yard. You know what? It might be one of those things too where you get that, like, they don't give him a yard. He actually got it and they just don't give it to him.
I don't know, Boom.
Is all that pain coming from that catch from Mike Evans, or does it involve being down by about 60 in fantasy to your boy?
I don't even care about fantasy this week, dude. You had, like, someone text. I think it might have been you or one of my other friends texted me and said if you're going up against someone from the Dolphins, it's just you have no chance.
Yep.
Any player from the Dolphins, you're done. Say goodbye. Move on. Remember, I have a quick memory. But let's get into it. If you guys haven't, real quick, hit that like button. Let's get the likes up a little bit. Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't as well. And tell a friend. Be a friend and tell a friend, please.
Like it, love it.
But we're going to get into here. We're going to talk a little bit about this Green Bay Packers game. Detroit Lions at Green Bay. Right now, the Lions opened up as a 1.5-point favorite. So they're on the road. If you think about it, you usually get 3 points at home. So they're basically 3-4 point favorites if it's a neutral site. Last week, fellas, the Packers played the Saints. They were down 17-0 at Lambeau.
Bad.
Derek Carr, ankle injury, and they end up coming back and winning the game, which they probably shouldn't have won that game.
Was it ankle or was it shoulder?
I think
Not that it matters.
I think it might have been ankle. I saw that he had like a sprained ankle or something. I could be wrong there, but the Packers though they should have two. What are they right now? They're 2-1. 2-1.
Technically in first place.
They should have.
They should have lost last week against the Saints.
Yeah.
The rest of their schedule's been kind of a joke too. Man, going to Lambeau regardless.
I don't think who they played week 1. I could pull that up.
Check on that. Going to Lambeau regardless
Bears.
is always a tough task. Who was it?
The Bears.
Yeah, so the worst team in the NFL.
Maybe NFL history.
Possibly at this rate. They've got a tough game. The Packers are always tough. I know we ended last season with the Lions sending Aaron Rodgers, not into retirement, but sending him to New York with a victory at Lambeau. Kirby Joseph picked him off. It was huge, but they go into this game, both teams, and even though the Packers' schedule has been pretty light up to this point, they have aspirations to continue this, especially just for the same reasons that the Lions are optimistic that the Bears are down, the Vikings are down this year. The Packers think they have enough in Jordan Love to compete for the division. I'm not saying they're going to beat the Lions, but they think they're going to be right there at the end of the year. So they know they need to make a statement on Thursday.
Yeah, they do, but it just, I don't know. It's just one of those teams to me, like week 1, you play the worst team in the NFL, the Chicago Bears. You get that win, right? Last week, you have this 12-point lead in the fourth quarter and you blow it to the Falcons, who the Lions just dominated, right? So doesn't make sense to me. And then you're playing at home opener, which should be your biggest game of the year, right? Obviously, the Detroit Lions dropped it. Something's happened over there with Jalen. Mike Evans scored
a touchdown. The future Lion, Mike Evans scored a touchdown.
I don't know if that helps.
Was it a 23-yarder?
No, it was a .5er.
Oh my gosh, this is brutal. I wish I could.
You could combine the two.
I wish I could. I hope what happens though. How much time's left in the game?
About 10 minutes.
I hope they get the ball back and they get a stop, get the ball back, and they're still throwing the ball here. But to that point though, is they should have lost last week. Their biggest, most anticipated game of the year, like to start the year. You're down 17-0 off the bat. If Derek Carr doesn't go down, you probably lose just as bad. So there's parts of this team to where we could say, oh, their defense is great. This is good. Jordan Love's looking a little. I still expect the Detroit Lions to go in there. They're far the better team. If they're going in there on the road as a favorite, the Detroit Lions should go win that game.
Definitely.
They should go win that. And real quick, Tyler in the chat, we can't have you die on the show, Booner. We already lost Cash. Shout out Cash. R.I.P.
Cash. Jalen, do you have any comments on the Lions heading to Packers? Any your initial preview, your initial thoughts of this game?
I think it's going to be a good game for us. I don't know if they're going to be 100% healthy. I don't know if Watson's back or Aaron Jones, but I think we come out there 28-14, 28-17. I think we beat them by at least a touchdown. I'm not worried. Our defense is looking real hot right now, you know. So I think if we come in there in Lambeau, do we did last year with Jordan Love and scare him a bit, we'll be fine, bro. Because I don't think Romeo Dobbs and or was it Jaden Reed?
Jaden Reed out of Michigan State,
man. But I don't think he can compete with Branch and you know, Cam Sutton. And if Jerry Jacobs can lock in, you know, get back to, you know, doing what he does, we'll be fine, bro.
Yes, maybe we see Emmanuel Mosley, but you brought it up too. They're injured. They're in a very, very similar spot as the Lions. They've got Aaron Jones, who's hobbled, Christian Watson, left tackle David Bakhtiari, left guard Eldon Jenkins, and quarterback Jair Alexander. We don't know if all of them are going to be out. Some of them are going to be out, or none of them, but they're as hobbled as the Lions are. So this is an opportunity on short rest. They're not healthy either. Let's go into Lambeau and let's take care of business on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the Detroit Lions, you need to go in there and make a statement here, because you already made the statement. You lost a game. You already made the statement that you can come back. Now it's time to put two together. And then right after that win, to me, it's like, all right, you have 10 days off. Time to put three together.
Absolutely.
Just like Dan Campbell said in the post game.
Absolutely. In 1 second, will you tell them about Lady Jane's? I'll just give a quick tune into Woodward and Maine tomorrow morning. We'll be live 7 to 8 a.m. live. Me, Gabrielle D. Phillips, and Terry Foster breaking down in even more detail the Lions game against the Falcons yesterday. But Booner,
yes, great call.
Could you tell them about Lady Jane's?
Yes, come to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience. Register to win a trip of your dreams. All expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. Yes, that is right. No expenses spared for you and 5 of your best buds. I'll be a best bud of yours if you would like. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have DMAC on your landscaping crew.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line, featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink live this Sunday for the official Lions VIP tailgate party. It's at Eastern Market in Shed 5, and it's going to be a bash. Starts at 9:30 a.m., runs till game time. It's the official Lions tailgate, and it's back and better than ever. So why don't you come out and pregame with your friends at Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP. We got food, beverages, entertainment, all of it included. Get your tickets online at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and remember this one, direct message us on Instagram, Lions VIP. Direct message us on Instagram, Lions VIP. We will see you Sunday, not Thursday. We'll see you in 2 weeks, Sunday morning, the next home game. Be there.
It actually is going to be longer than 2 weeks, I think. I think it's in 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But
The next
welcome
home game.
back to Woodward Nights with Booner and Broder. My name is Booner. Joined as always with Matthew Broder, the one and only Lions beat reporter, Jalen in the TD booth, and Nick in the sound booth. We appreciate all of you beautiful people and all of you brand new Lions fans for tuning in tonight from 8 to 10. Take your time out of your night to watch us. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, tell a friend, be a friend, let people know to tune into this show. We will continue to bring the energy. But we're getting right into it right now. make sure to drop every single question you have, whether it's about last night's or yesterday's game. Matthew Broder was with the players asking questions. If you have questions about anything with the game, anything in general, if you want to get personal, drop anything you want in this chat. We will answer those questions, possibly, as long as it's not too personal. I did have one here real quick. Lorena. Oh, I just lost it. Oh, no. Disaster. Lorena did say, does Gibbs get a swing pass for a touchdown on Thursday? I just want Gibbs to score a touchdown on Thursday. I've been betting that for the last 2 weeks. I keep doubling down. I would like Jahmyr Gibbs just to score a touchdown Thursday.
I think he gets a swing pass touchdown, like Lorena Rio said, if Montgomery plays. If Montgomery doesn't, I do still think he finds the end zone. I just don't know how.
This is a question too. Phil, are turf issues causing injuries across the league? I do think there is a thing. Like, players are coming out and they're pretty vocal about it. You know what I was thinking about the other day, though? And maybe it's because colleges have more grass fields.
Yeah.
But we don't see a ton of injuries like this in college. So is it because they have these spring games and they practice and these guys are in? This is a Maz, because I know Maz and Ryan Ermanni and them and Braylon all speak about that a little bit with, like, these guys haven't practiced before in the preseason. So I just think about those theories.
I don't know. In the NFL, the players are bigger, stronger, faster. Those collisions are a lot more aggressive and impactful.
Yeah.
I don't think it's hard to prove, but I don't think the turf's a non-issue. I think it's a real.
It is.
I don't know if it's a problem, but it's something real. And
to an extent, it definitely is.
When I was in Ann Arbor this weekend for our alumni tailgate for the baseball team, and I was talking to the groundskeeper who
he's a creeper, huh?
Yeah. No, shout out to Jason. He's not a creeper.
Shout
he's
out
the man.
Jason.
But the baseball field, they went to all
Derek
turf.
Jeter?
Pardon?
Derek Jeter? Did you talk to him?
I didn't get to talk to him.
Jeez,
they moved to all turf, but he still covers the grounds crew, the grounds around the campus, and he was talking to me about how it affects your ligaments in your joints when you're impacting on when you're crashing into the ground. It doesn't give as much the artificial turf as it does grass and natural dirt. So
Amon-Ra St. Brown came out and said someone asked him a question last week or in the locker room. We talked about his toe, and someone was like, "Why do you like the turf? Why don't you like the turf?" And he was like, like grass is more forgiving.
Yeah,
and it's and if you like, I'm not on the field. I'm not out there running routes. I don't know, so I can't. I trust these players. Like, they're the ones that are out there playing.
Yeah, and you can't even use a weed whipper on artificial turf.
No.
So how about this question? How good is Green Bay's offensive line compared to the Falcons? I'd say without Bakhtiari and Algidin and their left guard, I think they're about similar to the Falcons. If they're healthy, they're a top 7, top 8 offensive line. Do you have a comment?
I wouldn't. I think I would actually put Atlanta above them.
Okay.
I would say Atlanta's a top 5, maybe Green Bay. I guess, I don't know. I have to go more into this because, like you said, without Bakhtiari, I don't know.
All right.
That'll be a discussion actually on Wednesday. We're probably going to break down matchups and different things like that. So make sure you guys tune in Wednesday to kind of do that. Nick, you're over there.
Make sure
me off.
Yeah, make sure you check it out Wednesday because we're gonna have some props for the game as well that you guys should check out.
Yes. We did hit Sam Laporta. He hit his.
Yes, sir. Laporta over 35.5 yards, I believe.
I did hit Jahmyr Gibbs, the player prop that I gave out. Jahmyr Gibbs over, I think it was like 70-something, 77.5. What other questions do we have here? Drop them all.
I saw one from.
Do you think when Emmanuel Mosley returns that our defense can be a consistent top 10 defense for the? I do believe. Top 10, I don't know. Top 15, you'll consistently see a top 15. Like you saw it with Brian Branch in there yesterday, how good they were. You get Kirby back, Emmanuel Mosley back.
Yeah,
top 15. I think you could say top 15 is pretty safe to say. And all preseason long, what have I been saying, boys? Does anyone remember? Let's
top 15 defense.
And what else? Top 15 defense, top 10 offense. You're a contender in the NFL. Only 3 teams did that, or 4 teams did that last season. They were all contenders.
Dang. The Packers are top 12 offense and top 12 defense up to this point.
They are?
Yeah.
No, they're not. No way. But look who they've played.
I think when we get Mosley back, a big thing for this defense is going to be continuing to put on pressure on the other quarterbacks. It's every single time I feel like we bring pressure, good things happen to this defense. If we can stay aggressive in Aaron Glenn's scheme, I think we're going to be just fine, and top 10 is for sure possible.
Yeah, I think there's a chance, but I'm more comfortable just to say top 15. If you do that, like that's more real. Top 10's like, hey, if this defense goes out every week and did what they did versus Atlanta, do it.
How about this from Unless you got one, Tyler. I'm going to go Tyler Chauvet. Actually, I think he's got 2. What does Laporta need to do to win Offensive Rookie of the Year stat-wise?
Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe if Sam Laporta goes out there and breaks this record that he's on track to beating, I think it's like 103 or 106 receptions out of a rookie tight end or something like that. If he beats that record and somehow he goes out there and gets 1,000+ yards and maybe, what do you guys want to say, 6 touchdowns?
I could see
7
that.
touchdowns. I think you could say he's in consideration for it, but it's going to be hard with Bijan, man.
That's true.
He's going to continue. Like, I know he didn't this week. He's going to continue to do that.
How about this with running between the tackles? Another one from Joshua Dunseth. With running between the tackles being our bread and butter and saying Taylor Decker is back, but Monty is still out, do we still try to hit Gibbs between the tackles, or do we take him more outside?
I think you still have to run him through the tackles, right?
I think so.
Like
we talked about,
you
set
have
up
to do that to set everything else
Yes.
up, because that was why they did they were running them to the right. You have to do it. You can't, if you just go outside, then you're in the NFL and you're gonna be able to. It was like with the Kenny Pickett. There was a Kenny Pickett stat. I know we're about to end here in a second. We'll do one more question. So if you have one more question, throw it in the chat. But there was a Kenny Pickett stat. There was every single time, or like 90% of the time he went under center, they ran the ball the first 2 weeks or something like that. And it was like at some point you would like
a DC would pick up on
I'm guessing, yeah. Well, the DCs pick up on it. You would think that someone would tell Mike Tomlin in that whole offensive room there, hey, this is a stat that people are putting on Twitter right now. You guys need to change this, because if Twitter's figuring it out, you would think the DCs are.
Right.
So that was definitely Joshua. Shout out
Joshua.
Shout out Joshua. Yeah, he said Booner is soft like Lou Holtz for his Buckeye Notre Dame pick, and then he gave me a bunch of clown emojis.
Ryan Day.
We don't care about Ohio State in this place. Ryan Day is still a freaking clown. That post-game interview was the most fake interview I've ever seen in my life. He literally, Lucas said that he looked at someone and said, watch this. And he planned that to go up there and do that. No, dude, like, you're trying to get off third base right now. You're hanging on by a thread of third base, and you're moving backwards to second. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. We love you all. Woodward Knights, baby. Broder, got anything to end us out here, or what do you think?
F the Buckeyes.
Hit that like button for us.
Would like to say I was the only one that picked that winner. Bucks. You're welcome.
Shouldn't have done it. There was 10 players on the field.
You're a coward if you pick Ohio State.
Didn't count. Appreciate you guys all. All right.